In 1986, comic books changed for the better. Not slowly, not quietly, but it changed. And a huge part of that shift came from one brutal, cynical, psychologically heavy story. The Dark Knight Returns. Before this book, Batman was still carrying a lot of leftover camp from the older eras. Even when comics tried to make him serious, there was still this clean superhero polish around him. Then Frank Miller came in and basically asked, what would Batman actually become if a man dedicated his life, his entire life, to war? And the answer was not pretty. The story drops us into a near-future Gotham City that feels rotten from the inside out. Crime is exploding, the media is chaotic, politicians are weak, society feels exhausted, and Bruce Wayne, well, he's old. 55 years old. That's beyond Unk status. What is past Unk status? Anyway, look, he's burnt out and hollow. That alone was revolutionary at the time. Superheroes usually stayed frozen in time, but this story forces Batman to age physically and mentally, and you can feel it immediately. Bruce isn't at peace during retirement. He's miserable. He's empty. The Batman identity wasn't a phase for him. It was an addiction. It was a compulsion. That's one of the central ideas of this entire book. Batman is not Bruce Wayne's costume. Bruce Wayne is not Batman's disguise. The second Gotham starts collapsing harder, you can feel Bruce waking back up like an old predator smelling blood for the first time in a long time. And when he finally returns as Batman, it's not triumphant, it's terrifying. The suit is heavier, Batman is bulkier, more brutal, more aggressive. Frank Miller initially makes him feel like a tank instead of a ninja. Then there's the art. Klaus Jansson's inking combined with Miller's rough pencils creates a Gotham that feels so ugly in the best way possible. Nothing looks clean, faces are exaggerated, shadows consume entire panels, and the colors by Lynn Varley. Game changing, absolutely just game changing. The electric lightning skies, the deep blacks, the harsh neon tones, it created a visual identity that influenced Batman media for decades afterward. You could see pieces of this comic in Christopher Nolan's films, and Arkham games, of course. Even modern live-action Batman cinematography. But the real weapon of the story isn't the psychological pressure, but Batman isn't fighting colorful gimmick villains here. He's fighting decay itself. He's fighting with his old age, right? The mutant gang represents societal collapse. I had trouble saying that word there. The media represents noise and manipulation. Gotham feels like a city losing faith in the idea of order altogether. And Batman responds to that with escalating force. Say it with me, say it with me. Escalating force. Anyway, sorry. That's why this comic is still debated today. Is Batman saving Gotham, or is he feeding in his own obsession under the excuse of saving it? Frank Miller intentionally leaves that tension alive. Then the book keeps escalating. The Joker returns after years of silence because Batman came back. That detail matters enormously. That Joker isn't just Batman's enemy. He's psychologically dependent on him. He thrives on him. He needs him. Their final confrontation is horrifying because it doesn't feel heroic. It feels inevitable, like two addictions colliding. And then comes the moment that changed superhero comics forever. Batman versus Superman. Not as friends and not as teammates. Superman represents government-approved power, control, authority, public order. Batman represents independence, will, fear, rebellion. By the time they fight, Bruce is older, weaker, physically outmatched. That's obvious, either way, but... So, what does he do? He prepares. Comes up with a plan. Give him 30 minutes of prep time and he'll beat up anybody, even Darkseid. Every second of that fight feels earned because Batman understands one crucial thing. preparation can rival raw power. The armored suit, the kryptonite arrows, the mud, the lightning, and the ending is genius because Bruce doesn't truly win through strength. He wins through theater. That is what Batman has always been at his core, and that is psychological warfare. Now there is the important, very important historical context. Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns arrived in around the same era, and together they helped drag superhero comics into darker, more mature territory. Comics stopped being viewed purely as a disposable kids' entertainment and started being treated as a serious graphic literature. And there is also a danger here that people misunderstand. A lot of writers copied the surface level darkness of The Dark Knight Returns without understanding the craftsmanship underneath it. They copy the brutality, the grim tone, the violence, but they forgot the psychology, the symbolism, and the ideological conflict. That's why so many dark comics afterward felt empty. Frank Miller wasn't just making Batman edgy, he was dissecting him. And that's why The Dark Knight Returns still matters 40 years later. It isn't remembered because Batman punches Superman. It's remembered because it asked a terrifying question. What happens when a man refuses to stop being Batman? Now you hear me? What happens when you, the viewer watching this, stops being Batman? Why would you stop being Batman? We can't possibly be Bruce. We ain't Bruce. Not in this economy, at least. But look, that's besides the point. Never stop being Batman. Always be Batman. Remember who you are. Bat brains. I love y'all.